In this video, let's talk about satellite installation. A few days ago, Red Hat released the version of Satellite 6.17. The latest version during the time that I'm recording this video. We have a lot of new features. However, in this video, let's cover the installation and the minimum implementation. The minimum that you need to do just to put your satellite 100% operational. So let's go to the video. To start, as always, let's check docs.redhat.com. This is the official documentation. We can click on Explore All Products. From here, I'm going to bump a little bit. You can scroll to S of satellites. You can click on Red Hat Satellite. And you will see this one, like the latest version is 6.17. I would like to recommend this one, installing satellite server in a connected network. This video will cover the installation of a connected environment. So let's open this document. Always, I recommend you guys to click on this single page. And here you can see the whole information. I, as always, recommend you to take a look on the complete document, all the system requirement. The system requirement is still almost the same. You can notice this one, the latest version of RHEL 9. Yeah, that's right. On Satellite 6.17, we don't support anymore RHEL 8. Only the version of RHEL 9 for your BaseOS, which is good. A minimum of 20 gigs, and then we have some additional information. Again, feel free to take a look on this document. Don't miss anything. Read carefully. You can see all the components, all the users that will be created. About the storage, this is also important. Sometimes I see implementations with less than the minimum required in the disk, and this is not a good move. So feel free to take a look on this. And if we continue, we can see some additional information. My main advice here, like about firewall, we can see the ports. You can also see here in this version some requirements for AWS, which is great. And if we keep going, let's start from here. So we have this step to open the port. Sometimes you can just disable the firewall, but I don't recommend you that. Keep your firewall up and running, and then you can allow the ports. Definitely, let's move it on this path. Let me show you this scenario. I have here a terminal to a Linux box, and I have here also two different machines, one RHEL 8 and one RHEL 9. They were registered in a different server, but that's okay. We can use this just in the end of this process to register against this satellite. In this one, this is a brand new machine. There is nothing installed yet. So let's start from the beginning. The first thing I would like to cover is the port or the firewall. So we can basically copy and paste. This is adding the port 8000 and port 990. If we return, we can see some additional service. Let's also add them. Basically copy and paste. And finally, to keep this permanent, we can copy and paste the last one, which is firewall cmd --runtime -2 permanent. This will keep all the rules that we set above permanent. They will be still around once you restart your server. This is very important. Don't forget it. We can do a double check if we copy and paste this one. Basically, firewall cmd lists all, and we can see all the ports and all the service that are enabled at this moment. This is the first step. About DNS or name resolution, I have in my environment everything resolving. If you do not have like the name resolving to the domain that you are looking for, you can add the entry in your etc hosts. But keep in mind, name server or DNS is a requirement. So don't mess around. We can move it on from here. We have some tuning. I will not play around at this moment with tuning. In chapter 3, we can see installing the satellite server. So basically, let's move it on. And here we are. The first thing to do is, or not the first thing anymore, because we set already some rules. At this moment, we need to access the contents. So let me clean up the screen. If you take a look at this moment, my machine is not registered at all. I just deployed this machine. So what I'm going to do is subscription manager register. You can type your credential, username, and password in a way that you register this machine on the customer portal. So let's do it. Once you register your machine properly, you can run subscription manager identity, and you see your machine will be registered properly. If we return, we can see something like this. We'll be asking your credential, username and password, and we'll be presenting the ID of the machine. After that, we need to enable the repositories. But Wally, I can see first this disabling the repositories. Yeah, eventually if your machine has some repositories that should not be there, like beta or any other kind of repository, we don't want it to mess up your system. So this will guarantee that everything will be disabled. So let's disable everything just to be sure. And this is a good practice. This is a best practice. And after that, we can copy and paste this one. So if you see everything was disabled, let me clean up. Let's copy and paste. Subscription manager, repos, -- enable, and then you can see the BaseOS, the app string, satellite 6.17, satellite maintenance 6.17. And I got all of them enabled, which is awesome. If you are trying to register your satellite using the developer account, keep in mind that this is not supported. Not that it's not supported, but in the developer subscription, satellite is not included. So feel free to go on and talk to a salesperson, some salesperson that you know, in a way that you can request a trial, for instance, or if you have already the subscription, just be aware that should be in accounts that you are using to register your server. Let's move it on. Now we can just double check the repositories and DNF repo list enable. This is going to show all the repositories that are enabled right now in this machine. Personally, what I like to do or what I like to run is this one, DNF repo list -v, because -v will bump the verbosity, and this will tell me for sure I was able to connect to the CDN, download the metadata, and I can see the repositories, I can see the content, I can see the metadata. See, we have the information. This information is telling me that satellite was able to connect to the CDN, download the packets, no problem about firewall or proxy or anything like that. So this is fresh. This is amazing. Let's keep going because we have too much for today. Optionally, we can enable Fapolicyd. This is security stuff. If you ask me, Wally, can I skip that? I don't recommend you. Let's click over here. Let's play. DNF install Fapolicyd. This is gonna install this package. I will say yes, for sure. If you have already one machine that is running, you can definitely install this one. It is not this case because this is a fresh installation. I would like to enable this one. The package got installed. Let's clean up the screen. systemctl enable -- now Fapolicyd. I thought about this in a few videos, but this is always good to tell. systemctl enable Fapolicyd or systemctl enable the service name. You can do that. This is gonna enable the service, but will not start. And then in general, we see people doing systemctl start and then the name of the service. If you run this, it is two birds in a single shot because systemctl enable -- now and the service name. What this is gonna do is let's enable and let's start the service right now. This is pretty good. If we take a look on the service status, we can see this is running and also enable. So first bonus, pretty quick, pretty fast. Let's move it on. We checked already the service. Let's upgrade the system. Hey Wally, is this necessary? I should say yes. I would recommend you always to be in the latest version. Eventually, if you have 1-2 packages like this, that's okay. This will not hurt. My main attention point is if you see kernel, in general kernel, you need to restart your server. So if you're running the update or upgrade, and then you see some kernel package, don't forget to restart your system before you move it on. This is definitely a good thing to keep in mind. And from here, we can do DNF install satellite. I'm gonna pass -y just to move it on. and install all the packets. We can see that we have all of them over here. Let's scroll up a little bit. We can see satellite. The version is 6.17.0. Amazing. This is on RHEL 9. And that's it. Let's wait for this to install all the packets, and then I'll be back with you. Pretty good. We can see all the packets installed. Let's come back to our documentation. And right now we have the configuring satellite server. So we can scroll down. What I like to do here is you can copy, you can paste in your preferred editor. Let me open VI here and then just go something like this. You can see if you copy and paste this is going to work, but keep in mind that the name of your organization will be my organization, your location, my location. Your admin user will be admin underscore user underscore name. And I'm confident that you don't want that. So what I'm going to do here is something like this. My organization will be Acme. The location will be New West. The user will be admin. And my password will be secret. 1, 2, 3. Simple like that. I can save this file. If I have this in a text editor, I can just copy and paste. Just to do something like this. I can copy and paste like this. Or I can just call like bash and then go. Basically, I have that file with this content. I'm calling bash to execute this script. It is basically a bash script. And then all those parameters will be executed and will be installing satellite. Simple, easy, like that. Let's come back. Next step will be importing Red Hat Satellite or importing the subscription. So at this moment, this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, this process, this installation process. I believe the goal of the whole process here will be the post configuration. And what is the post configuration? Let me open a new terminal. Let me put aside of this. Let me bump and open a local file. So I created this one already, basically to show the steps or the process that we need to go. Installation is the one that we are doing, like I install my BaseOS. Now we are installing the satellite. Next step, execute the installer with some flags. We are doing this exactly here. If there are additional flags that you like to add, feel free to go in this moment. Or if you have no idea about those flags yet, fear not, because eventually, anytime after the installation, you can come back and you can run satellite installer -- some flag and pass the parameters to enable the HCP or enable your DNS or to do some configuration about provisioning, about templates, about whatever. We have a lot of flags, and I have also another video in this channel talking about the flags and the answer file. So keep this in mind. This is gold information. But again, for the sake of this video, let's stick to the basic. This is the basic. Satellite installer, -- scenario, satellite, the organization, the location, the username, and the password. After that, as I mentioned before, the goal in my mind, in my point of view, is this one. Everything that you have here, it is the minimum that you have to do just to keep your satellite or to put your satellite up and running in a way that you can say, okay, now I'm good to go. I'm good to put my content host and register and start using, like installing a package or doing something like that. Let's go one by one, but before, let's wait for this to finish, and then we can jump in on the webUI and we can see the webUI of satellite. So let's wait for this. And here we are. And look at that. I got this error or message. Then coming back to this space, I believe I removed this guy over here, this \. And because of that, the last line, we saw some complaining about the last line, and the password generated here was a different one. It was my fault, I agree, but with that said, I'm going to give you a bonus because I would like to set this password. So how can I reset the password right now? Let's take a look on this. Format rake. I'm going to keep all the text on the top just for the sake of reference. -D in uppercase. Type grep. Permission. And I would like to reset the permission or reset the credential. This is going to give us the command that will be necessary to change or to update just in case. And then we can see over here, format rake permission reset. I can pass the user and the password. So again, I know that my user is admin because we have the user over here and we pass this user on the top. And the password in question is not change me, is this one, secret. So I can press enter. Basically, this is going to change the credential for this user. And then we will be setting the expected password for this system. This was the first bonus. I have the second one. So let's wait for this to finish. And if I'm not wrong, the output of this guy is going to provide us the second bonus. See, we have the information. This was reset properly. But hey, keep in mind, one warning, you need to change the password in this file manually, just to keep your hammer working properly. So let's do this. We can do a vim on that file and just go to this password and secret 123. Once this is our strong password, that's it. Okay, satellite is installed properly. Let's access the webUI. sat02.king.lab HTTPS. Once this is a self-signed certificate, that's okay. Let's click on advanced and then proceed. I will trust on this guy. So admin and our strong, very secret 123 password. You can see here the version 6.17. Then there you go. We are in. So our satellite was installed. We can see the organization Acme, the location US, the user admin, and the password. Like, come on guys, you got a bonus. I made a mistake over here, a small one, just because I forgot this one, or I removed it. But let's say that was on purpose. Yeah. So we have this environment. So let's come back to our notes and see what is the next step. Now I need to create my manifest. Long ago, we used to go to the customer portal, access.rhel.com, and then you should be able to create the manifest over there. And nowadays, we recommend you to go to hybrid console. Then let's take a look on this. console.redhat.com. Whenever you access this page, feel free to log in or authenticate using your own credentials. This is the face or the main page of Hybrid Console. You can click over here and then just looking for manifests and click on manifest. Here is the main page where you will see all the manifests that you have in your account. You can click on this create new manifest, the blue button, and here you can set the name. So I'm going to put Walderio SAT02 manifest. And I need to select the version. So if you see, we have different versions. Since the version 6.0, let's pick the version that we are installing, in this case 6.17, and let's hit create. Once you have your manifest created, just go to this text field and type the name of the manifest. Eventually, you have too many manifests, then we'll be in multiple pages. This is my case, and then you can see over here. One thing that you'll notice is in the previous version, the customer portal, the old customer portal, we used to access the manifest and add a subscription in the customer portal. If you see over here, I can see if there is an entitlement or subscription assigned to this manifest, but there is no way to add one subscription. So I cannot handle this by the customer portal or by the hybrid cloud. Instead, we'll be doing this from satellite. So what I need to do here is export the manifest, or you can also click on the three dots over here and export. This is going to allow you to download this manifest. And then you can say, hey, this is my Walderio set02 manifest. And then you can hit save. Okay, now you have your manifest locally in your machine. So let's come back to the satellite. This is everything that we need to do on that page. And let's also follow from this one. Create a manifest. We created a manifest on Hybrid Console. So this is done. Next one is import the manifest. And where to do that? Let's click on the left menu, Content, Subscriptions. Once it is the first time, this will be the screen. Like there is no subscription at this moment. Another bonus to you guys. What is the side effect when I have no subscription? If I go to my Red Hat repositories, check this out. There is no repository. And this is happening because there is no subscription. Cool? So let's go to subscriptions and let's click on this import a manifest. In this page, you can click on choose file and just pick the file that you just downloaded. Whenever you select the file will be imported, or the manifest will be imported automatically. There you go. The manifest was imported, but if you see, there is no subscription. So if we come back, we have the step to import the manifest, and we have another step, which will be add a subscription. So let's come back. To add a subscription, pretty simple. Let's click on this blue button, add subscription. And in this page, you should be able to see all the subscriptions in your account. Right now, we have one issue in our backend. This is not a satellite problem. This is in our backend. We have already some guys who work on this. But if you are facing some problem like, hey, I can see 11, but I have much more than 11, let me give you this workaround. You can definitely go to Administer, Settings. This is not beauty, I know. But entries per page, let's put like 500 and submit. And this will be necessary just for this behavior. Probably if you see all the subscriptions, don't do that. Let's come back, content, subscriptions, add subscriptions. And then there you go. Now you can see that I have a lot of different subscriptions. And in this way, you can definitely looking for the subscription that you have and you are looking for to add in your satellites. I'm going to use this one over here. Employee, let me add 3. We can scroll straight to the bottom and hit submit. This is going to add a subscription. And as a side effect or as a consequence, this is going to allow us to see all the repositories that we need to import in our satellites. There we are. Now we have the subscription. Let's just close the loop. Let's come back to Administer, Settings, and don't keep this one here, please. Let's keep 20. This is definitely a good value. Amazing. Keep 20. All right, we can come back to subscriptions, and now we can see our subscription. Let's come back. We added a subscription. Next one, enable the repos and sync them. As I mentioned before, I have here 2 scenarios. I have one RHEL 8 and one RHEL 9. And as you know, I love you guys. And today I'm going to do a double pack because I'm going to cover like RHEL 8 and RHEL 9 in a single shot. By a single shot, I mean in the single video or in this video. So let's see the repos. In the main page, left menu, Content, Red Hat Repositories. Let's click on this toggle, Recommended Repositories. Let's scroll down and you can see AppStream for RHEL 9. And let me also see the BaseOS for RHEL 9. Let's start by RHEL 9. Wally, what is the recommended repository? I will always recommend you this one. This is the latest version. And nowadays, right now, during the time that I'm recording this video, the version of RHEL 9 is 9.5. So this one will be covering 9.5. If tomorrow we release 9.6, this one will be providing you 9.6. So unless you need for very specific reasons any minor version, don't go that path. I have another video here talking about this and how you can create filters, but let's stick with this. This is the BaseOS for RHEL 9. Just click on the plus button. And this is the AppStream for RHEL 9. Okay, my recommendation. AppStream, BaseOS. Let's scroll down. Satellite clients. This is the minimum recommended for your scenario. So for my scenario, I have my RHEL 9 machine, satellite client for RHEL 9, BaseOS for RHEL 9, and AppStream for RHEL 9. As I mentioned before, let's do the same for RHEL 8. So we have here the BaseOS. I can see also the AppStream. So same idea. The latest version is 8.10, but if you like to get the latest version, stick with this. 8 for AppStream. Let's click on the plus. 8 for BaseOS. Let's click on the plus. And don't forget, satellite client for 8. And let's click on the plus. Okay, what we did here was we just enable those repositories. If we see, we just enable. The last step is sync them. How can I sync them? Easily, I can go on my left menu content, sync status. In this page, I love to click on this one, expand all, then this is going to show everything to you. And here we can click on select all and just click on this button, synchronize now. Basically what this is going to do is, it's like a wake-up call, you know? Hey, satellite, let's sync all of this. Go on, you can do it. And satellite will be syncing this. So don't worry, we can be back on this page soon. Let me change this tab a little bit. The next one will be create a sync plan. Wally, should I wait for the sync before creating the sync plan? If you wish, you can, but we can do this in parallel. This is not a big deal. So the sync plan is here. Let me open this in a new tab. What I like to do, create a sync plan, Red Hat stuff. You can set this daily. Personally, I like to put this 3 a.m. and hit save. That's it. My sync plan is created. However, this sync plan is not syncing anything at this moment. Let's click on product. Let's click on add. And you can see that we have just one product. But in this product, we have 6 repositories. Remember, BaseOS and AppStream for RHEL 8, BaseOS and AppStream for RHEL 9, 4 repositories, plus 2 repositories for clients, 8 and 9, 6. Hey, can I create a sync plan for one specific repo? No. The sync plan is for products. So let's pick the whole product. Let's click on add selected, and that's it. From now on, every day, 3 a.m. in the morning, your satellite will receive that wake-up call and will sync. Simple, easy, beauty. And that's it. The next point is LifeCycle environment. Again, should I wait for the sync to create this one? Not necessarily. You can definitely create a LifeCycle environment without the content, but let's do a double check in the content. Yeah, see, we have here the clients already synced, and those are still syncing. So let's come back to this tab. How can I create my LifeCycle environment? So let's, on the left menu, content, LifeCycle, LifeCycle environment. And here you can see that we have just library. By default, satellite will contain just library. Which kind of LifeCycle environment I would like to create? Dev, QA, and prod. Hey, Wally, LifeCycle environment is necessary, is a requirement. It is not a requirement. If you like to work on library, definitely you can. I have different videos here explaining about how LifeCycle environment can help you with your management. Personally, I love it, and I strongly recommend you. So let's do this in this minimal installation. Let's click on this button. Create environment path. The first one will be dev. I'm gonna put like uppercase and lowercase. If you wish, you can definitely put something like this. Doesn't matter. It is up to you. Okay, we have dev. And then I will create another one, QA. And it will be in a sequence. So I'm gonna click over here, not this one, because this will create in parallel. This one will create in a sequence. So the next one is QA or QA. Let's put like this. And you can see the prior environment here, dev. Yeah. And the next one will be prod. There you go. The prior will be my QA. There you go. Now we have our LifeCycle environment. The next step is create a content view. So let's do a step back. In order to create a content view, yes, let's wait for this to finish because I would like to create a content view. In a sequence, I'm gonna publish my content view and I'm gonna promote. And in order to do that, I need to have this content synced. So yeah, this is the time that we'll be sitting here, looking to this beauty for a little bit more, and I will see you in a few. We can see here at this moment that the content of RHEL 9 was synced properly. We have the BaseOS app string and the client for RHEL 9. And for RHEL 8, we have the client, BaseOS, and app string. So let's do this. If we go, or if we think about this one over here, let me edit this a little bit. I'm gonna create one CV for RHEL 9 and another one for RHEL 8. Eventually, I'm gonna create a composite content view, Acme for RHEL 9, and a composite content view, Acme for RHEL 8. So we have some additional steps here to do. We can start work on this on the RHEL 9 version because we have already the content for RHEL 9. So we don't need to wait for RHEL 8 to move it on. So let's go to our left menu, content, LifeCycle, content views. Here you can see that we have no content views at this moment. Let's click on create content view button. You can see at the bottom that we have content view and composite content view. By default, content view will be selected. This is what we need. So the one that we'll be creating is this content view for RHEL 9, because our content for RHEL 9, it is already synced. Let's do a double check. This one here at the bottom. I can type the name, the label. I don't need to check this one of dependencies. Let's just click on create content view. Okay, our content view is created. There is no repository yet. Let's click on this show repositories. And from here, see, no content. And this is happening, or no content and not synced. This is happening because the repository is syncing, still syncing. If this was the content view for RHEL 8, I should not be able to proceed. I should, technically speaking, but the result should not be good because there is no content. So keep this in mind. Don't go on this path. Let's stick with RHEL 9. So in this one, I'm gonna select the app string, BaseOS, and the clients. So I selected the three of them. Click on add repositories. That's it. Publish new version. I will not promote this one. I'll keep this only on library. Let's hit next and finish. This is going to start the process to create this content view for RHEL 9. Let's come back and see. This guy is still syncing. This process of publishing is pretty quick. So you can wait this one here or you can click on close. But this is definitely not a big deal. There you go. Now we have our content view for RHEL 9. The version is 1. And we can see 3 repositories. We can see the number of packets. We can see the number of groups, errata, module stream, everything here. Cool? The next step is composite content view. But hey, Wally, I heard that composite content view is when I'm work with multiple content views. I have just one content view. Should I create one composite content view? My advice, feel free to create and feel free to use, because in the future, let's suppose that you have one idea like this. Hey, I would like to add my third-party repositories. So I don't need to change everything because I'm just creating this idea like right now. Instead, if you have this already, a composite content view with one content view, no big deal. You can add the second, you can add the third, the fourth, the fifth. This is definitely a good approach. So let me get rid of this. Let me get our selection again. I'm gonna get the name of this composite content view. Let's click over here, create content view, the name of the composite. And now I'm gonna select this one, composite content view. I strongly recommend you guys to use this one. If you have no idea about what is this, I have another video here explaining this process. I'm going to leave in the card, but I recommend you to do this personally. Let's hit create content view. And the main difference is instead of repositories, I can pick content views. So we have this content view of RHEL 9, add content view, always update to the latest version. This is nice because anytime that you publish a new version of this composite content view, the composite content view will be looking forward to the latest version. And once you enable that auto publish, what will happen is you publish that content view, the content view will finish, that content view will trigger this composite content view to publish a new version. And this composite content view will always update to the latest version. We'll always be picking the latest version of this content view. So this is definitely a nice combination. So let's click on add and then publish. And now I would like to publish this to my prod environment. You know, I can publish this to dev, QA, and prod to keep consistent on all of them. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna put on prod. And let's hit next and finish. Cool. We did a process for the content views on RHEL 9, which was this one. Let's take a look if, yeah, there you go. See now everything's synced. So we can do a similar process to our content view of RHEL 8. So let's click on create. This is the name of the content view for RHEL 8. And in this one, I will just do the steps. I will select. You have for RHEL 8, C8, upstream BaseOS, publish, next, finish. This is the content view. I'm gonna create a composite content view as well. Maybe you're asking, okay, how can I know if that content view is still publishing? You can see over here. This is how this is gonna be presented when publishing, or if you click in the content view, you should be able to see a progress bar. Yeah, and now this is finished. See, I can create a composite content view. Let's pick composite, out publish. And once this is for RHEL 8, I'm gonna pick the content view for RHEL 8. Add, always, and you can see here, this was added. Let's publish. And I will also promote this to prod. Finish. And basically, if we come back, you can see that we just created a content view, a composite content view for RHEL 8 and for RHEL 9. Yeah, the composite content view was here. I didn't notice. So let me move this one to the bottom here, like this and like this. Cool. We are almost there, guys. All right, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Let's come back. Let's see. At this moment, I can tell you, we have the content view. The content view was published just to library. We have the composite content views, and for them, we can see they were published and promoted to prod LifeCycle environment as well. The next step is create one activation key. So how to create the activation key. On the left menu, contents, LifeCycle, activation keys. Let's click on create activation key, aka RHEL 8 prod. This activation key will register the machine. This machine will be landing on prod, and this machine will be consuming content from the composite content view. That's it. The nomenclature over here, keep in mind to keep this meaningful for you in a way that you will understand what this is telling. Like this one activation key, this is for RHEL 8, and this is landing on the prod lifecycle environment. If I have multiple composite content views, I could put something like this. Composite content view, prod, or composite content view, Acme, RHEL 8, something like this, but yeah, you got the point. You got the idea. Let's keep this simple. I like this one. Then just pick environment, pick your content view or composite content view, and hit save. That's it. Simple. Wally, is there anything here that you would like to recommend me? Yes, there is one point here that I would like to mention. If you click on this repository set, by default, this will appear like limit to environment, which means we are seeing only the content that is available in this composite content view. we know that in this composite content view, we have a content view, and in that content view, we have a subset of repositories. In this case, AppStream for RHEL 8, BaseOS for RHEL 8, and the client for RHEL 8. If you notice on this page, here you have the status of this repository: enable, enable, and disable, which means if I register a content host using this activation key, those repositories will be enabled by default. This repository will be disabled by default. If I would like to automate this in a way that whenever I register this machine, I see all the 3 repositories enabled, what I can do here is just this. Check this repository, click on the select action, drop down menu, override to enable. And then you see this is enabled at this moment. Sometimes this repository, let's suppose that this repository was not on this content view. This is one more bonus. If you remove this limit to environment, and let's suppose that the repository was this one, we know that this was not the case. You can definitely change this to enable, but keep in mind, this repository is not in that environment. However, if you create a new version of this content view, including this repository, this will be enabled by default. Not this case specifically, because we are talking about Red Hat repositories in different versions, but let's say Apple repositories or custom third-party repositories, this is going to work like a charm, all right? Or if you have any repository for RHEL 8, additional repository for RHEL 8, supplementary or whatever, definitely you can also do that. Okay, this is my main point. I would like to enable this by default, and that's it. Nothing else. So let's copy the name of this activation key. Let's create a new activation key. The new one will be for RHEL 9. Same idea, prod, composite content view of RHEL 9, save. Let's click on repository set. See, this repository is disabled. I would like to keep this enabled by default. Override to enable. That's it. Simple. Straight to the point. Let's create a global registration. And what is global registration? I have another video here talking about global registration, but basically this is the new way that we have to register content host against the satellite, or ingress your content host against satellite. And how to do that? Let's click on hosts, register hosts. I have one video explaining all the details, all the information about this little guy, this process, but let's go straight to the point here. I will pick, and this is beauty, this is new on 6.17. In the past, we used to have just cur, but let's say that you don't have cur, or instead you like to use wget. So definitely you can use one or another one. You can pick. Let's pick insecure. For this one, I would like to pick my RHEL 8 activation key. Let's click on advanced. In this case, I would like my satellite or my global registration to be doing all of this for me. Setting up the remote execution, setting up the insights. I'll keep this one unlimited because I would like to use this token or this registration process as part of my automation. I would like to force, and this force means, let's suppose that my machine is already registered, and then you see, hey, this machine is already registered, you have to pass -- force. In this case, this is the -- force. And ignore errors. I like also to select this one. By default, we have Rex pull mode disabled. We don't have a video about this one yet in this channel, but soon you will be able to see. Eventually, whenever you are watching this video, feel free to looking for remote execution in this channel. And then you see all the possibilities that we have to a remote execution on satellite. So let's hit generate. That's it. I have this long line over here. Let me copy. And I'm going to paste this on my text editor. This is for my RHEL 8. Let's say that I would like to create another one for my RHEL 9. So I can just click over here, remove that RHEL 8, RHEL 9, click again on generate. And now I have my second line or my second global registration process for RHEL 9. And that's it. Simple like that. And we are almost at the end of this video because the next step will be the final one. So at this moment, I can tell you, this satellite is ready to roll. We did all the steps above, everything here. This is the minimal, or basically this one here is the minimal configuration, minimal implementation to put your satellite in a way that you can say, okay, now I can start working on this satellite because I have everything ready to go. With that said, let's access this one. Let's come back to satellite first. I can close this one. And I believe my screen is a little, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Let me click on host all hosts. You can see that we have just satellite at this moment. So this is my node 1 for RHEL 8. Remember, we created that global registration. I can just paste over here, and that's it. If this machine is registered against a different satellite or customer portal or whatever, you don't need to remove packets or redo or remove any configuration file. Don't do anything. You can see this was registered in a different server or in a different one with the same name. This is failing here with the certificate. That's okay. This will unregister this machine, will clean up all the files, and will register back on the new satellite, the one that we are working on. And then you can see this is already registered. It's still doing some process. We have the repositories. Look at that beauty. It is trying to install Insights, and once Insights is already installed on this machine, that's okay. The Insights was installed, configured properly, registered, and now it is collecting the data and will upload to Hybrid Console because we select this during the global registration. If we come back to Satellite webUI and just refresh this page, see, now I can see our node 2, and this is pretty cool. There we go. We can see all the repositories, the BaseOS, AppStream, and also the client. Let me move this a little bit. DNF repo-list-v. Similar as before, I run the command DNF repo-list on satellite and we got the information from CDN. Here we can see this machine was able to collect the information from satellite. At this moment, this local satellite that we are running, and those are the current repositories that are enabled. So definitely if I try to download something here like DNF download kernel, this will connect to satellite and will download the package. There we go. Okay, we have this for RHEL 8. And is this going to work for RHEL 9? Definitely, my dear friend. Let me clean up the screen. Paste. Similar idea. This is trying to unregister from this server. This is a node 1, so the certificate is failing. That's okay. This will create a new registration. This is the new one. If we come back to satellite and refresh, we can see now our RHEL 9. This will also collect the information because we select Insights or we enable Insights during the global registration. We'll upload the information and that's it. Basically, if we open both servers, now we can do all the management. We can see errata, we can see the package, we can do remote execution. For this one, we don't have the information yet. Yeah, there you go. Was just uploading this to satellite, the RHEL 9, and this is the RHEL 8. So yeah, if we come back, there we go. Now we can say that we are ready to roll, ready to move it on, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And that's it, folks. This video is a complete step-by-step of the installation plus the minimum implementation, where the minimum implementation is going to tell you all the steps that you need to do, the recommended ones to put the minimal configuration in a way that you can put your satellite up and running and start working in a better shape. So I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to join us in our Discord channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.